Well, I found these green glasses laying on the dresser in our bedroom this morning. And I thought if there's ever a morning I really need to see things well, it's today. I really wanted to see the topic quite well that we're looking at in this message this morning. But unfortunately, even though I can see my notes quite well, you're a bit blurry. And even though I thought these glasses were quite coordinated with what I had on this morning, I think I'm going to take them off. Now that doesn't mean that I don't want to see things really well. I do have my other glasses with me, and it's going to be better with these on. Today, we want to turn our thoughts to the heart of worship. The heart of worship. And as we do that, I probably need to make another kind of disclaimer as well. Some of you who are seeing well probably are noticing that I have a scabby lip and wonder why Susie hit me so hard. That really isn't the case. We have a little horse at home. He's about 5 weeks old rather. His name is Sunday, or Sunny. He was born on a Sunday. And just a few days ago, as is our custom now, we were leading mother horse into the barn and little baby horse into the barn, and I had the responsibility of handling Sunday. And we just about got to the stable, and he was doing well, following along, until all of a sudden he raised up, he reared up, and got me with his hoof right in the mouth. I wasn't very happy about that. I held on tightly, and she fell back to the floor, and Mother Horse was very calm as Olivia was leading her in. And we finally got both Baby Horse and Mother Horse into their stall. So that's the story behind the what was a fatter lip and scabby lip. I hope that doesn't distract you this morning as we consider a very important topic for this Sunday morning. I was very strongly motivated to change plans for this Sunday morning in terms of the message. We were going to give the last message from the series in the book of Genesis on foundations of our faith. And I was really looking forward to the message from the life of Joseph on the topic of forgiveness. Well, Pastor Ron will, I believe, have the blessing of giving that message, Lord willing, next Sunday morning, as I will be away at General Conference with Pastor Jeff. And you have something really big to look forward to in that great story from the life of Joseph. Today we're going to look at what has been announced, the heart of worship. And before I give all the reasons why we've changed plans and we've come to this topic, I want you to just listen, and if you want to read along in your notes, to these scriptures from the Word of God that talk about worship. This beautiful verse from Psalm 29, verse 2, ascribe to the Lord the glory due to his name. Worship the Lord in the splendor or the beauty of his holiness. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful songs. Know that the Lord is God. It is he who made us. And we are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Sing to the Lord. Sing praises to him. Tell of his wonderful acts. And then Jesus in the Gospels as he talks to a woman who is not named. We know her as the woman of Samaria. He has this conversation about where her people, the Samaritans, worshiped. And Jesus makes a comment about where his people, the Jews, worship. And then he said, "Yet a time is coming and has now come when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks." God is spirit, and his worshipers will worship him in spirit and in truth. Now, Jesus is clear about two things in his statement about worship and being worshipers. He said worship is really not about being in a particular place. It's not over there on that sacred mountain, and it's not over there necessarily either. Worship happens wherever you are as a worshiper, because your life as a Christian, as a follower of Jesus, expresses your worship to him, whether you're in a church service or you're outside of a church service. Now, please don't start feeling guilty if you're feeling that your life doesn't always line up with that. But we do want to consider what that means to worship in spirit and in truth. Because worship is a way of life. Worship is much more than what we sometimes call the worship time. Now we're going to do worship. We sometimes say that when the worship team comes or the worship band comes to lead us in worship. We're going to have our worship time now. And that's not incorrect, because it's part of our worship experience when we worship together in a musical way, which we did this morning. Now, I want to just speak to Pauline directly and say, Pauline, don't worry about some of the little mistakes that happened this morning. I know that you knew what I was going to be talking about this morning, and I think I made you nervous with this topic. And I pray that we'll all be able to give our thoughts and our hearts to this beautiful experience that we call worship. And also worship in song, worship with music. Worship and music, particularly music as we think of it, is a powerful medium of expression. I, just for the fun of it, looked up on the internet who some of the most famous musicians in the world are at this present time. Who would you say would be a famous music? You may not like that musician, but a lot of other people probably do. So just name some of the favorite musicians or musical groups, some of the bands, some of the stars of the musical world. Elvis Presley, there you go. He was in the list of the first 5. Sandy Patty, Christian musician. Keith Green, somebody mentioned. Garth Brooks. Carrie Underwood. Dean Martin, Celine Dion. George Beverly Shea. So we're mixing up our Christian musicians and secular musicians this morning, because we listen to both. And there's so many more that we could mention this morning in terms of musical groups. Bon Jovi and Prince, Marilyn Manson. You don't like some of those names, do you? And their groups. But they've been pretty popular at times. Nobody mentioned Michael Jackson, who is considered one of the greatest musicians, really, of all times. The Rolling Stones, Spice Girls, U2, Hootie and the Blowfish, the Bare Naked Ladies, and we could keep on going down the list.